Oh, Beavis, this could be the greatest night of our lives.
Huh? Yeah, Butthead. It's gonna be rad. Yeah.
That's right. We're going to be on Our Reviews Will Kill You. That is freaking awesome.
Yeah. TP. Z for my bunghole. Z for my bunghole.
That's right. Welcome to Our Reviews Will Kill You, the Party Time podcast that's going to bring you an exclusive interview, potentially, with Beavis and Butthead. If I can pull it off, I'm going to do it. But I am the man you may know as Z, and this is the podcast that does news reviews, movies, film critique, all that good stuff and more. And yes, I am 4 minutes late. So there's a lot to do when you're on your own That's right, it is a lone wolf podcast. It is a Z podcast. And what better day than to celebrate it than this July 1st? I'm super excited to see everybody out there in the chat. You guys are going to help me hold this down as I go through it. I'm going to see if I can even see the chat because I'm struggling to see the chat. But I see Ron Cole, the Stone Cold Killers out there. Daniel N. Doc of always, the Docest of Docs. Happy Canadian Day to the Canadians, the Canuck Day. So it seems like it's going to be a good day for everybody. Everybody all around. Where is my chat screen? So anyway, we have an amazing show for you. Probably better than any show you've ever seen because, again, there's someone missing. The name that shall not be named. The name that no one needs to know. That's right. It's Z only for all of you out there. Let me tell you what's going to be on today's show if I can figure it out. I'm pretty sure I have a description somewhere. Let's look at it. What is on today's show? I know I'm at least reviewing Beavis and Butthead. That's for sure. Shockingly, after like 20-something years, you're going to see Beavis and Butthead. You're going to see... what else are you going to see today? Why can I not get a description? I'm going to do a review of Spriggan, something probably nobody has ever heard of, but I'll go over it. We're going to talk a little bit of Taika Waititi. That's right. Taika Waititi doesn't seem to have a clue. We're going to talk a little bit more about Star Wars because if you have $15 million, you're going to be able to lay it down. Going to lay down that wood. John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic seems like it's not as fantastic as we originally thought. We're going to look at a horrifying figure of a pop star, and we're gonna try our best not to burn our eyes out. Christian Bale is back on board for Batman, if only this happens. We're going to check out an amazing scientific finding, woolly mammoths. That's right, we're going to check out something about woolly mammoths. We're going to check out Ghostbusters Afterlife, the sequel nobody asked for. We're going to talk a little bit about Quantum Leap, why I'm still confused myself. There's a little bit of outrageous news as we hear a little bit about some bears that don't survive. You know, dead animals, always a good topic for a podcast. New Yorkers are getting some procedures done that are going to shock you. There was also an amazing dance floor brawl on a Carnival cruise. You've got to hear about it and more. We're going to go a little bit in and out on Stranger Things. And as I said, we're going to do reviews of Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe and Spriggan. That's right, Spriggan. But for now, we shall move on to housekeeping. That's right. We have some housekeeping to take care of, friends. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I did with my week off from that other belligerent, nonsensical human being who is not on the show today. We did a little bit about, should you cancel the Flash movie? According to some of our reports, the Flash movie is one of the best tested movies in Warner Brothers history when they did test screenings. But they're in big trouble now, as it appears that they can no longer, I don't know how much longer they can sustain the assault by Ezra Miller. And we discussed a little bit about what Ezra Miller's been up to, as he seems to be murdering, well, he's one step away from murdering people. You may find him in Noob Noob's basement. He's out of control, people. And there's not much anyone can do. We also talked a little bit about, well, I wasn't going to rant about Obi-Wan anymore. The show is over. I wanted to move on. And I think it's one of my favorite edited videos because I put some good jokes in there. There's an article about Obi-Wan Kenobi, the show, fixing canon. And it does not. So I don't know what these people are talking about. But we discussed a little bit. I let out some frustrations, some ranting, if you will. Get a little bit off my chest. Because I thought I was going to forget about it. But I cannot. So I discussed a little bit about that. It was a bit of a light news week. There wasn't a lot going on. At least some controversial things I didn't feel like talking about. And then finally, we do have something else. We have a giveaway, which I have no idea how it's going to be given away. It's the Secrets of Dumbledore. So comment. Maybe the best comment wins. I don't know. I will not decide such things, as I am not the decider. I am strictly doing as Noob Noob pleases, which is giving away the Secrets of Dumbledore. And I'm trying to think if he had any. Oh, that's right. I don't know if we had any winners. We'll have to wait till he gets back from Jamaica to find out if there were any winners of the trip with Noob Noob to Jamaica. How he made out on that nude beach, and whether or not he got hot and sweaty with all of those friends of his. Yeah, we will talk about the Butthead movie. Actually, I thought there was one part that was really funny that we can kind of go over. And yeah, it's a mixed bag there, because you're bringing back something from the 90s that most people have no idea what in the world Beavis and Butthead are. But in the meantime, I believe it is time for us to move on to the news. That's right. Let's see if I can figure this out. Nope, that's not the right screen. It's going to be this screen. That's right. Let's take a look at this. And I think this story is kind of hysterical, because Taika Waititi is that guy that you may or may not know. He is Korg from Thor. He's the director of a handful of Mandalorian episodes, and somehow that gave him, he's on the hot list for Disney and Kathleen Kennedy, and they are going to give him his own movie. You know, this guy. I don't know what he did. I don't know what's going to be about, and apparently neither does he. There's an update to this story, because originally he said, I haven't even gotten an idea for a story yet, so I don't know what is going on. If those of you out there recall, Star Wars is infamous, and Kathleen Kennedy especially, for firing directors. She fired such acclaimed directors as Lord and Miller, you know, the guys that went on to win an Oscar for Into the Spider-Verse. Yeah, she fired those guys. She also fired Colin Trevorrow. There's a handful of directors out there, and it seems like Taika Waititi might be right there on the chopping block. And I don't know if his tone as a director will make much sense for this. He's kind of known for comedy, and Star Wars isn't that funny, so I don't really know what they're going to be doing. But what they were saying is, while he's been doing press junkets for Thor: Love and Thunder, people have been asking him about his take on his movie. And they were saying it was going to be released next December in theaters. There's no way that's going to happen. He doesn't even have a story. In fact, they ended up, they canceled the woman who directed Wonder Woman, they canceled her. She was going to have a story about Rogue Squadron, the director, Patty Jenkins, and they killed that. So now they're talking about Taika Waititi doing a movie, but he doesn't even have an idea of what he's going to do or what he's going to write. It doesn't make any sense. Why is this place so screwy? Directly from him, apparently in an interview, he said, I'm trying to write the Star Wars idea at the moment. I've got to see how that goes, because once I submit it, they might determine when it gets made or if it gets made even. How is that going to be released in December? How does that make any sense? You got to love a company that doesn't actually plan to do anything properly. You know, you write a trilogy and the trilogy doesn't have any type of semblance of a story. You're just like, oh yeah, here's a bunch of mystery boxes. And then you get Rian Johnson coming in and putting in his weird take. And then you end up firing a bunch of directors who were going to finish the trilogy. Nobody has any idea what they're doing. Like, what is going on at Lucasfilm? Lucasfilm's a complete disaster. Looks like Daniel N is saying that I think he wants to win by default. And I think he's talking about Dumbledore because he loves stroking on Dumbledore's beard. Korg needs a solo Disney Plus story. Okay, fair enough. I mean, I don't mind Korg. I think he's a fun character. I don't know that he would last. I'm a pile of rocks. Yeah, don't get me confused there. I'm a pile of rocks. And then Star Wars is helping bring back the 70s, right? A Korg origin story. Yeah, that's right. It seems like things are cyclical, right? Remember the 60s were cool for a little while, then the 70s. It looks like it's coming back to the 90s. You know, things are like 30 years old. So it's like, it is actually. That's a really good point, investor. He's saying like, you know, like Beavis and Butthead just came out. Think about it. People are saying that the prequels are cool. You guys remember the Star Wars prequels? They sucked. When they came out, they sucked. No one liked them. People barely liked Revenge of the Sith. Why would they like... But now they're... And then they see in Kenobi, they see Hayden Christensen. They're like, it's so good to see Hayden Christensen back with Obi-Wan Kenobi. And it's like, yeah, Obi-Wan was the least interesting character in the prequels. I mean, he was well acted. I like Ewan McGregor, and I like his depiction of Obi-Wan. And I think his version of the Alec Guinness character is pretty cool. But he's like a wooden totem pole. No, so... I don't know. Star Wars is a hot mess. It's a giant disaster. I don't see how anybody is going to get... Who's even going to get excited for a Taika Waititi movie? The only thing that I thought was good about this is that they said it was going to move away from the Star Wars... from the Skywalker saga, which is fine. If you want Star Wars to survive, you got to tell other stories. But it's got to be a basic story. You know, you don't want to get too crazy. It doesn't have to be a rehashing of the hero's journey. But please stop doing lone wolf and cub stories. We already had that with Mandalorian. We had it with Obi-Wan. Like, come on, people. Get some originality. Someone has to be able to tell an original Star Wars story. Anyway, let's move on to more Star Wars news. And I know Doc's got this kind of money, so I suspect Doc is already looking at this. It's a mansion with the Millennium Falcon Theater. It hits the markets for $15 million at Disney World. I mean, it's a nice house. Don't get me wrong. The article goes, Yoda says size matters not. But when a family of Star Wars fans built their Disney World dream home, they had Han Solo, not the pint-sized Jedi Master, on their minds. An 11,000 square foot Mediterranean mansion, complete with a Millennium Falcon themed theater. It's a one-of-a-kind property. If a family built this, why are they leaving? Why are they selling it? If they loved it so much and it was so amazing, why are they leaving this thing? It doesn't make any sense. It's redonkulous. Ah, yes. Insult Investors he wants to talk about the $5,000 Star Wars drink. I might even just do a video about it because it's... Just think about especially if you're an investor and you know money, you're a money man. How much money would it cost to take, 3 adults and 1 child? That makes a lot of sense. For a $6,000 stay in the Star Wars Galactic Cruiser, and then spend another $5,000 on drinks. See, I haven't read the details, so I don't know if it's just one drink or if it's multiple drinks. keep an eye out. I'm probably going to do a video on it. Not 100% sure yet, but it's definitely an interesting story. And I didn't have time to put it into the show tonight here. But the theater has a life-size Chewbacca. The owners had an exact replica of the original, or had it made as an exact replica. Okay, so you can watch the movie with Chewbacca. Again, if it hit the market last week and it was listed at $15 million, it has 7 bedrooms, 9 bathrooms, and too many movie accents to count. Who's gonna buy this? And if you did buy it, why did you have it made and then you're leaving? Like, what is the point of that? I don't really get it. I mean, it looks cool. Don't get me wrong. I'm okay with it, but what is going on? So there's there's a theater based in the Millennium Falcon. There's a bar that looks like an intergalactic bar. In fact, the windows have like X-wings going towards the Death Star. Even the ceiling fans are futuristic. So cool. No, I don't know. I don't know what's going on here. It looks super nice. Not going to spend $15 million on it. Don't have that kind of money. Apparently, it's in Disney. The house was built in 2019. It looks like it could have been a 2-story Olive Garden. Sweet. Gotta love a 2-story Olive Garden. And the price keeps changing. Oh, wait, less than a mile away, there's another mansion for $16 million. That's a 6-bedroom, 6-bath, complete with a Mickey Mouse suite. This is all. I think we did a video on this, which I will not link above, where we actually called to make reservations to buy our next $15 million Imagineering house, and they never returned our phone call. It's very sad. So you can hear us call them directly on air. Let's see here. Maybe we have some. The drink costs $500 to make max. It comes with a case. It gains 10 times every time they sell one. Oh, so it must be like it's a case and it's got multiple drinks in it. Maybe. I'll try to pull the article and see what it is. Homeowners Association fees, folks. This is out of control. Like $8,000 a year. You could almost afford to have a nice trip to the Galactic Cruiser for $8,000 a year. So this is pretty bonkers. There's 3 restaurants in the property, not inside of the house, just on like the grounds. And there's a tapas joint for the 21 and over crowd. I gotta get me that tapas. What the? This is wild. Who's got that kind of money? It's all sadness coming from Star Wars. But you know where else there's a little bit of sadness? I'm going to say in Marvel, because they're reporting that the casting of John Krasinski as Reed Richards in the latest Marvel film, Doctor Strange and the Methods of Madness, clearly was just fan service. And they did it because Kevin Feige made it happen. And Kevin Feige did it because it would make the fans' dreams come true. Sam Raimi revealed in the audio commentary that he was like, yeah, I had nothing to do with it. Here's his direct quote. He says, it's so funny that Kevin Feige cast John Krasinski because fans had a dream of who the perfect Reed Richards would be. And because this is an alternate universe, I think Kevin said, let's make that dream come true. I've always really enjoyed his performances. So, I mean, I like that part, but he was literally in it for 5 seconds. I do like the fact, spoiler alert, that he gets, they do something special to him. Something that people would do in, like, private bedrooms is what happens to John Krasinski's Mr. Fantastic. At least we got a chance to see it. Supposedly they're casting for this thing, but who knows who they're going to get. But clearly it seems like it's not going to be John Krasinski. Oh, I see big man out there. Woot woot. And Doc says that Disney called security and there's an active warrant for ORKU's headquarters. Yes, there is. There is. This next story is designed to horrify you. Much like the body horror that you would see in a Sam Raimi movie, This is body horror. Thank you to Bizarre. I can't even look at this without just dying. So for those of you who don't know who Billie Eilish is, I also don't know who Billie Eilish is. I'm told that she sings or kind of whispers into microphones. I heard she did the most recent James Bond song, which I never heard or watched because it kind of sucked from what I heard. And the song seemed so impressive that I never heard it anywhere or even spoken about. But this is, for those of you listening to the audio podcast, Billie Eilish, I don't know, she's this blonde chick, and I don't know, sometimes her hair is probably different colors than blonde. She looks absolutely horrifying in this. She looks like she has completely dead eyes. And this is for that wax. Sorry if I didn't mention that. There's a new wax figure of Billie Eilish. Holy cow, those fingernails look redonkulous. The Hollywood Wax Museum, which is known for having horrifying statues, added a new statue. Oh my gosh, I should have taken Noob Noob's admin away. I never should have left that. Oh, Daniel N is asking about Daniel Craig as Reed Richards. I don't think that would be cool. Sure, why not? I'm down with that. I'd literally, like, the Fantastic Four, the original movies were so bad, I'd literally take anybody. So they can cast whoever they want. So but we're back to Billie Eilish. Looks like this is Twitter reacting. You know, the brain surgeons of Twitter. People want to call the police. They're calling it a monstrosity. But I said these people want to wash their eyes out. I agree. But they also they referenced some of the previous horrendous statues. And I'm curious, like, do they do this on purpose? Because I feel like it gets more attention when they do a really ugly one than when they do a good one. Like, who cares when they do them? They're saying this is a Walmart Billy. Fair enough. It's Eily Billish. Also, they want to delete it. I mean, I'm horrified, and I don't even know if this actually looks like Billie Eilish. I'm going to say it doesn't, because it looks like a creepy human being. But some of the other ones that they've been complaining about, apparently Ariana Grande, hers looks pretty horrifying, for sure, and she's probably too tall. I heard that Ariana Grande is actually 3'5". So that one does not look very accurate. And she's not licking a donut hole or a drug addict's beehole. Either one of those would have been more accurate than what you got. They're also very mad about a Zendaya one that was released in London, which is Zendaya in a business outfit, star of No Way Home and all those Spider-Man movies. She looks like she's angry and ready for business in pink. Just a reminder out there, folks, if you want to see all of these and more, we have links to all of these articles and all of the stories that we do. You can search for Our Reviews Will Kill You, and our page will come up, and you can find all of these articles. It's a lot of fun to check out some of this stuff. You can also probably just Google Madame Tussauds, and you'll find some horrifying pictures. The one that they did of Rihanna is not Rihanna. There's definitely a different person. I don't even think that is not Rihanna. Not even a little bit. So, yeah, these guys do not seem to be batting 1,000 when it comes to making people look like people. They look like freaks. Yeah, these are all horrifying. You know what wouldn't horrify me, though? And I think a lot of people, although I do believe that Ron Cole would disagree with me. Christian Bale says he would sign up for being Batman one more time, but only on one condition. So he's not going to do the Michael Keaton, where he signs up when he's 70 years old and do it for, who's the guy, Muschietti, the guy who's directing it. He would sign up if he was asked by the only director that matters, Christopher Nolan. If Christopher Nolan asked him, he said he would do it. And this is also because he's doing a press junket for Thor, God and Thunder, which we'll also review that. But it seems like Christian Bale is pretty content on not playing Batman unless Christopher Nolan said he would, wanted him to. His quote is, no, nobody reaches out to me, or they keep me like a mushroom, keep me in the dark, and feed me S. But for me, that would be a matter of Chris Nolan. If he ever decided to do it again, and if he chose to come my way again, then yeah, I would consider it, because that was always our pact between each other. We said we would only ever make 3, and then I said to myself that I'd only ever make it with Chris. So that's pretty cool. I'd like to see that. I know Ron Cole thinks that Michael Keaton is the best Batman. I think it's a pretty tough one for 1 and 2. I still think Christian Bale is probably number 1, or at least did the best movies. You guys can tell us in the comments below who you think the best Batman is, and it better also be Val Kilmer. Although I'm trying to think who else. If only Jared Leto could play Batman, then the circle would be complete. Let's see here. They're arguing. Apparently, there is breaking news that Noob Noob is on the run from the Jamaican police after sexually assaulting a whale. That definitely happened. So keep an eye out for that. Daniel is saying there's a toss-up between Affleck and Bale for him. Doc says Michael Keaton. I could see why people like Affleck. I especially like the older, more grizzled, like angrier Batman, the one who's kind of like totally dead inside. So I could totally dig that. And obviously I'm a Bale fan. Michael Keaton kind of originated what a dark Batman would be, you know. I think I heard a rumor, this might be a spoiler, that he says in the new movie, do you want to get nuts? So we'll see. I don't know if that's going to happen, but it's a possibility. We can now go from entertainment news to a little bit of science, because we got to learn a little bit. We got to educate ourselves. This is a smart podcast, especially when you get to see an image as horrifying as this. Horrifying and fascinating at the same time. A mummified baby mammoth was found in Canada with intact hair, skin, and tusks. How long until they're cloning these things and we're riding mammoths to work? I'm down. Let's get on some mammoths, man. You know, I watched Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. I thought it was pretty cool to ride elephants. Apparently they could spray you with water when it's hot out. Sounds like fun. Anyway, in an astonishing sight, despite being buried for over 30,000 years, the baby mammoth was found in Canada's Yukon territory and still had hair, skin, and tusks intact. Did they keep the tusks from getting in the hands of ivory dealers? That's like, that ivory probably would go for a lot of money. It was covered in mud and resting in the fetal position when gold miners, they're mining for gold. I love gold. The geologists found it, and they said the mammoth calf was a female and died in permafrost during the Ice Age 30,000 years ago. Wow. There's a word here that I cannot say. It says elders of the Trondak Huichin, whose ancestral land in the mammoth land was found in, named her Nunchoga. Basically, noob noob. Big baby animal in the Han language. Interesting. And I think this was just found. I don't think this is an old one. There's not a ton of news on it. Probably because it just happened, but you know, we like to stay on top of archaeological expeditions here, as we do like to plunder the booty here at ORKU. Daniel N says Jurassic Woolly Mammoth Park. I would go for that. I would go see that. I think it would be worth it. Oh, Insel Investor said it looked better until they moved it. Oh, maybe, and then it rotted real fast. I'm sure. I mean, it looks like it's rotting right there, and it looks like it's all gooey. It's a gooey. Ooey gooey. You know what else was ooey gooey? Me, when I watched Ghostbusters Afterlife. Not that ooey gooey, because I didn't like it that much. I thought it was okay. It wasn't bad. It wasn't great. It was better than the 2016 Ghostbusters, of which will not be mentioned. One of the most horrifying movies I've ever seen. Ghostbusters Afterlife has a sequel release date interesting. I don't know how excited I am to see that, but sure, we'll see how it does. I don't even know that movie did that well. I thought it did okay, but I guess it did well enough for Sony to be like, let's strap it on again. It's a 38-year-old franchise. Oh, and there was there a post-credit scene? I guess there was. They're going to say the franchise will return to the franchise. The film will return to New York City in the original firehouse. It appears that they're going to continue working on it with the original director, Jason Reitman. And, they're hoping to... they're trying to make the Ghostbusters universe. Gotta get that expanded universe out there, because Sony's killing it with expanded universes. The Morbius universe. It's Morbin time. What is it? Morbius 3, The Search for Kraven the Hunter, which will be coming out soon with the kid from Kick-Ass. Yeah, that's going to be a thing. Ghostbusters Afterlife, if you don't recall, was a direct sequel to Ghostbusters 1 and 2. It combined the original cast from the 80s and a series of new faces, and it included, I guess I won't say a horrifying depiction of a CGI dead person, but sure. One of the original cast members, Egon, shows up in it. Spoiler alert. But, yeah, are you guys excited for this? I'm gonna say, I'm lukewarm on it. Not super excited. Oh, Sensibly Cynical is on. Check out his podcast. I think yes, we finally fired Noob Noob and banished him to Jamaica, where he lost his passport. He's not allowed to return to the United States. In fact, we revoked his citizenship since he was a participant on a certain day that will live in infamy. You can guess the day. Do we fire Noob Noob? It wouldn't take much to fire him. But yes, he is gone forever. With any luck. Let's see. And then to the final story of the news, which I am... How do I feel about this one? I don't know. I don't even know why it's a story. I know there are new... Speaking of rebooting the 80s and 90s, Quantum Leap is getting rebooted. Okay? The series, they finally gave a date for it, which is September 19th, starting at 9 p.m. Central, leading out of The Voice. And look, it's a show that's going to be on NBC, which is not exactly this target demographic, right? And it's been, it looks like the story is going to be, it's been 30 years since Dr. Sam Beckett, played by Scott Bakula, stepped into the Quantum Leap accelerator and vanished. Now a new team has been assembled to restart the project in the hopes of understanding the mysteries behind the machine and the man who created it. What's the other? Let's see. A new team led by some guy has been assembled, and everything changed. Oh boy, they're already giving away the plot, so maybe we don't want to see it. The cast looks, pretty interesting. I was just kidding. I don't know. Oh, look, Ernie Hudson's in it though, so that might be cool. I'm okay with that. I don't know. Am I gonna watch this? Probably not. Is this up Noob Noob speed? Maybe. I don't know if there's any attractive girls on it. That's really what he's looking for. Or attractive men. Oh, we should see if Noob Noob has banana hammock tan lines. That's what Daniel M. is saying. That is a good call. I believe that he has his full banana hammock going on. Because it's not really a hammock. It's more like a little bit of crocheting. Just enough to hide a thumb. Actually, thumbs are probably too big. What's that little joint of your pinky? The smallest part of your pinky. Think of that. But I do think it is time to get outrageous. Time for an outrage. Gonna get outrageous. I'm outraged, are you? Is an outrage. This story, I do have images for this. This is from ABC News. A black bear accidentally died after locking itself inside of a hot car. That's right, folks. Hot cars are not only dangerous to young children, dogs, your leather seats, but they're also dangerous to black bears. Apparently in Sayreville, Tennessee, approximately 30 miles east of Knoxville. The owner of a vehicle, they left the property in a different vehicle. When they came back, apparently 9 hours later, they found the dead bear inside the vehicle with the car door shut. You probably shouldn't leave your car unlocked because them bears, they can get in anything. They believe that the temperatures exceeded 95 degrees outside, which means the interior possibly reached over 140 degrees. That sucks. I wouldn't want to be in there. There's a picture of the bear slumped between the driver's seat and the front passenger seat as a can of soda can and food waste can be seen on the floor of the car. Should have just drank the soda. Although I guess if it got really hot, that soda would have been flat and not that tasty and not very refreshing. So, sucks to be a bear. This is a warning to all of you bears out there. Bears, do not go into cars. Do not close the door on yourself when you enter it. Not safe. What's kind of funny too, I guess they could, it's kind of a, weird way of saying this, but they're like, here's a good example of how garbage kills bears. Notice the empty soda can and food package on the floorboard. Bears have noses 7 times better than a bloodhound and can smell even the faintest odor of food inside of a vehicle. Lock your doors, roll up your windows, and never leave food or anything that smells like food inside. Well, if they had left their windows down, the bear would still be alive. So think about that. Danny, wonder what a smoking hot dead bear smells like. Probably not good. I'm gonna guess. Probably not good. He also says it's like a rule in Zombieland, the Zombieland movie. But instead of checking your back seat for a zombie, you should get your back seat checked for a bear. And if you're noob, you probably have a basement full of bears. But maybe not the kind of bears we're talking about. Not wild bears. He has domesticated bears. Hairy bears. This next story is also an outrage. If you were concerned about bears, you're going to be concerned about New Yorkers pretty soon. Rich New Yorkers are getting bladder surgery and botox to avoid bathroom breaks on the drive to the Hamptons. When I saw this, I just said, what? This is like one of those stories. I remember there was a story, there's always conspiracy theories, right? And one of the conspiracy theories was that rich people were drinking the blood of like young people and babies to stay alive forever. I mean, that's been a conspiracy theory for literally hundreds and hundreds of years, probably thousands of years, right? I remember there was I don't remember what her name is, but there's like a countess who was known for slaughtering people and like bathing in their blood. Okay, so this sounds like a different type of conspiracy theory that rich people get. I don't understand. A New York City urologist has seen more patients requesting a procedure that eases the urge to pee. New York's wealthiest are hoping to eliminate the need to go during the long drive to their summer homes to avoid conflict over Hamptons bladder in the car. Traffic en route to the Hamptons has gotten so bad, it has sent some of these people to the doctors to get a medical procedure. This is such first world problems, man. You can't get any more first world problems than this. They're saying that traffic has gotten that traffic is people going to their second home in the Hamptons. They have to travel as far as 100 miles away. And what they're doing is, and there's very few places to stop apparently on their multi-hour trip. To combat this, they're getting here's one of the procedures. It's called a prostate artery embolization, which reduces the size of the prostate in men, and bladder botox, which decreases urinary frequency for women. That is stunning and brave. Stunning and brave. This is insane. I can't even. Apparently, this doctor seen a 20% spike in patients seeking PAE procedures this spring. Says, I don't see them until around May, and then all of a sudden, May comes and they care more. He says he's been performing about 10 of them a week. That cannot be good for you. Is this guy related to an oncologist where it's going to start giving people like cancer? He says some people will shell out $20,000 cost out of pocket just to get this procedure. I compare it to taking a trip to the Galactic Cruiser for Star Wars. So if you cruise with 3 adults, 1 child, plus 2 rounds of drinks, I think it would cost the same as this procedure. I don't think you want to do this. Oh my gosh. Should I describe to you how this happens? Do you guys really want to know what they do? How they insert a small scope through the urethra and use a special needle to inject the drug? It only lasts 6 months, so you're covered for the summer. Wow. Wow. Look at this guy. So stunning, so happy, so brave. Dr. David Schusterman, your man for injecting things into your penis. Go check him out. He's got the ORKU stamp of approval because Noob Noob sees him regularly. What? Oh my gosh. They're saying that it could be 4 hours stuck in traffic and there are no rest stops. And the guy's like, there's no dread now. I'm like a kid. Holy cow. All right, I've had enough of this story. I'd really like to move away from this and move on to something more fun, which would be a 60-person brawl on a Carnival cruise. And it was on the dance floor. So they weren't just doing a real, like a dance-off. They were doing a real brawl. Apparently, it lasted for an hour and spanned 5 floors. That's amazing. Jealousy over a threesome between passengers sparked a 60-person brawl. And I think we have a little bit of footage. Or at least pictures. And I'm going to try to show it without getting yanked. Because I have no idea. Apparently, 2 people began scuffling on the nightclub dance floor. And then the altercation got out of control. Apparently, 40 to 60 people got involved. It shows that the security guards were clearly outnumbered and completely powerless to stop the large brawl. After the fight, the Coast Guard escorted the ship to the dock in Manhattan. But no injuries were reported. How do you have 60 people brawling for an hour and no one gets hurt? I guess if you're fighting on a cruise ship, there's no bricks. So you can't exactly hit people with a brick. Let's take a look here. Oh, there is some footage. I mean, it looks like a nightclub. So, and there's a lot of hair pulling. So maybe there's just a lot of hair pulling and not necessarily fist punching and bricks and there's like cushions and that kind of stuff. So maybe people weren't actually getting like beaten up that bad. Let's see what else they have here. Massive brawl erupts. It was an 8-day Caribbean cruise. Apparently they didn't make it out of the port of New York. And a lot of it was filmed on Facebook. Triggered by a threesome. Obviously. What else did they do? A lot of big old booties on this cruise. Who is this person who they're quoting? Let me see. They're quoting someone. I don't know who it is. But they're saying the guests were involved were in the fight were, in her words, ignorant fools acting stupid. One eyewitness tweeting under the handle at NYEmo. They were at the bar listening to their own music, sipping a Shirley Temple, and then a brawl broke out of nowhere. Oh my gosh. Apparently there was some glass involved. Yeah, it's this looks like it's unclear whether or not the vessel was in New York, New Jersey, or international waters at the time of the fight, making criminal justice jurisdictions murky. If they're in international waters, I think knife fights are legal, so they're covered there. They don't have to worry about that. Yeah, absolutely. I agree, Daniel. There's nothing wrong with a little hair pulling as long as it's consensual. So I think this was all consensual. So I'm down. Apparently the fight broke out at 5:20 a.m. That's pretty early. to be out on the club. I don't know. Little strange. In fact, we're going to move on from this and we're going to get in. Maybe we'll get out. But we're definitely going to get strange as we talk about me getting in and out of Stranger Things. I mean, obviously I'm getting in because I have already watched it and I think I reviewed it. I'm pretty sure I did, and I liked it. The first season, or the first part, volume 1 of season 4. Season 4 was split into 2 parts. It's the biggest show on Netflix probably ever, I'm going to say. And let's see here. Stop with the pop-ups. Thank you, Complex. Very, very much agree to this. Stranger Things, Season 4, Volume 2. I think there's only 2 episodes, but they are extra long episodes. They're like 3-hour episodes or something like that. It caused a Netflix crash, and it broke Nielsen's streaming record. They're interested. They want to see what happens. So, I mean, that's a pretty good strategy. They broke it into 2 parts, and now they broke Nielsen's streaming records. I think that's pretty interesting. And people seem fairly favorable to the first part of it. We'll see how they feel about the second part. I'm not sure. Like I said, I enjoyed the part 1, and should be reviewing the second part if I can get through it. I mean, it is 4 hours of stuff to watch, so there's a lot going on there. But it did set streaming records for the week of May 30th to June 5th. The show sets the highest weekly total for any streaming series since they first started to track it about 2 years ago, with a total of 7.2 billion viewing time for that week. One of the most successful weeks for a streaming show to date. I guess they just measure it by millions, or I mean by billions, of how many minutes people watched it. The previous... Well, Volume 1 debuted. The show amassed 5.14 billion minutes for viewing for the week of the May 23rd through the 29th, and that means it's only gotten more popular. The previous record was held by Tiger King in March of 2020 when we were all trapped and couldn't do anything else. Apparently, the hype was so high that Netflix has faced some issues when it arrived on Friday. I guess there's this site which is called Down Detector, which tells you where there's outages, but there were 10,000 reports of Netflix outages around that time, and that's significantly higher and unusual for any rate of any given provider. Let's see what else. I mean, I'm excited. We'll see what happens, and if these guys can pull it off, if the Matt and Ross Duffer can pull it off, maybe they can do some more stuff, because if you remember, the guys from Game of Thrones totally screwed the pooch on how they finished out their series, Game of Thrones, and people were not happy with them, and they have not really worked on much since. I think I reviewed one tiny movie that I think DB Weiss, maybe it wasn't Benahoff, did. I think I did a review on it. It's that metal movie. It's pretty decent, but... yeah, those guys have not really done much, so we'll see how Matt and Ross Duffer end up after this. I'm hearing kind of mixed results, so who knows? Some people really, really like it. Some people really don't. So who knows? But you will get our honest review on it, and well, at least my review, because Noob's never even seen the thing. He has no idea what the most popular show in the world has ever done. He doesn't know anything about it. Daniel is saying Game of Thrones finale was beyond disappointing, and they're doing a Jon Snow spinoff show. Yeah, I actually did a video on the Jon Snow spinoff show. Apparently, the jackass writer, I can't believe I spent so much time reading this guy's books. I'm still mad that he hasn't released them. I want to say H.R.R. Geiger, but no. George Steinbrenner. Whoever wrote those damn Game of Thrones books, I don't know why I can't think of that fat guy's name right now. But he is involved in the Jon Snow spinoff series. I cannot imagine that that's going to be any interesting or any good. Like, Jon Snow was almost like, I know he's the leading man, but he was also not one of the most interesting characters. You know, I think he had the least interesting. Yes, George R.R. Martin. Thank you, Daniel. I appreciate that. I, spaced out there for a second because I'm so angry at the man for not finishing the damn series. I can't comprehend why this guy is writing the Jon Snow series instead of writing his own book. It's like, well, part of it is he's probably afraid to finish the thing because people are so mad at the dude, So with any luck, we'll get an end to that. That is better than what we got from Benioff and Weiss for Game of Thrones. I mean, literally one of the worst. I can't even think of a show that had a worse ending. So Stranger Things can't be that bad. It's got to be better than what we're seeing now. So I'll give you my review, but I'm in, and I'm ready to do it. So we'll wrap up In and Out, and we'll move on to the reviews. That's right. I'm doing reviews. Let's see here. So we've got our first review is Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe. This kind of snuck up on me. Came out of nowhere. I wasn't really ready for this one. I had no idea that Mike Judge was doing another movie. And I do know that he was on the Joe Rogan show to promote it and was talking a little bit about it on there. Gave a little bit of insight about Beavis and Butthead. And Mike Judge is an interesting guy. He actually was hand drawing the animation. And when they signed him for a deal, he was like, he had no idea what MTV wanted or how it was going to happen. And they signed him for a deal. And he's like, you want me to do 62 hand drawn episodes of this? I don't think so. Beavis and Butthead, it's like an overly long episode of the show. It was an hour and 26 minutes, and I felt every single second of it. It's really tough to judge it, right? Because I didn't think it was going to work at all. And I do really, I don't remember the Beavis and Butthead show that much. I mean, I remember it. I saw it. I don't know if I saw it as a kid, and I kind of remember it. And obviously, I think I can do a pretty decent job with the voices. That's right, Beavis and Butthead rule. They're like the best ever.
Yeah. Yeah, see. Beavis and Butthead rule. TP for my bunghole.
It's close. I got to work on my Beavis, but I can do a pretty good Butthead. Or I mean, vice versa. My Beavis is pretty good. Still working on Butthead. I used to do them dead on, but it's been a long time. And that's the point is I'm doing an impression that took me, I could do it for years. Because I remember they had that movie, and I don't even remember what it's called. I think it's like Beavis and Butthead Do the United States or something like that. The only joke I do remember from that, which I still think is funny, is where it's like, hey Beavis, or hey Butthead, that old lady, she said she's a slut. She really likes sloth. And so they were talking to this, they were on a bus with a bunch of old ladies. And the old ladies, this old lady's like, I sure like my slots. She's like, I like slots. And they think she's saying sluts. So I thought that was great. There's one sequence in this that I thought was really funny. And I know Insult Investor had a good spot. There you go. Beavis and Butthead Do America. Daniel N. being my fact checker for the day. I appreciate it, man. Big props to you. This one was like an overly long joke about but it is fascinating because I do think Mike Judge is a very intelligent guy. He did Idiocracy, the movie. He wrote that. And while I don't think it's the greatest movie ever, it was kind of one of those things that seemed like, oh my gosh, this is very predictive of the future. And, some people love it or hate it. King of the Hill, I think, has some sort of legacy. It was an interesting, like an animated sitcom, if you will. Not necessarily as crazy and weird and funny as Beavis and Butthead. But it is kind of representative of today, right? You've got these two complete morons who are, either the world is oblivious that they're complete morons, or the world just wants to acknowledge them because they're complete morons. So the entire premise is more or less about them thinking they're going to get laid because they get sent to space camp, and they're so good at putting the rocket in the hole that they get sent into space because they think they're gonna do this lady. There's actually two really good jokes. The leader of the space group, the captain, if you will, she's she says something to the order of she goes, yeah, there were 246 men, 57 women. And Beavis thinks that, or Butthead thinks that she's listing the amount of men that she's banged and how many women she's slept with. And then she goes, and not to mention the dogs and monkeys. And Beavis is like,
Chill out there, lady.
He's like, he doesn't want to hear how many dogs and that she's banged. So that was a pretty funny joke. But the best joke in the entire show was the white privilege joke. And you kind of have to see it to believe it. Basically, Beavis and Butthead, they go into a college for no reason. Basically, you take these dumbasses from the 90s and move them. They go through a black hole, so they're in like 2022. So they're seeing like what the world looks like now. And they go to a college, and they're in they walk into a class that's a gender studies class. And they get told about their white privilege. So they immediately walk out of the class, go into the lunchroom, and they're like, we have white privilege. So that like means you have to give us stuff. So they like just walk around taking everything, and they're like, the police can't stop us because we have white privilege. It's really, really clever, ironic joke that's probably pissing a lot of people off because they're giving an example of exactly what they think white privilege would be, where you just walk up and take everything from everybody. But the Rotten Tomatoes meter has it pretty highly scored. It's not as good as this. There's a handful of good jokes, but it is very laborious to get through. 47 reviews on the critic side have it at 96%. Shocking. I can't believe they like this. And 85% have it on the audience score with 100 plus ratings. It's on Paramount Plus right now. And let's see. Let's check out if there's any negative reviews. I do think they said their promises to Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe promises to sit atop all future lists of the dumbest science fiction movies ever made. It's pretty. I mean, it is amusing. Like, I do like seeing them. They're just, it gets old real quick. Here's a negative review from Movie Nation. Despite making an effort to offend here and there, the characters have lost some of their edge, and Judge can't help but suggest old fart in attempting to manage those grating, giggling voices. I thought he did a really good job with the voices. The dude does it, I didn't think he missed any beats. I thought it was actually pretty good. There's not many negative reviews. This is from San Francisco Chronicle. Shocking. A movie that loses sight of the line between lampooning stupidity and being stupid. He gave it a 1 out of 4. I give it like a solid B-. Solid B-. It's funny. It's definitely a little boring. Only a handful of really good jokes. But overall, like, you could do better things with your time. Like, it's not gonna bore, you might get a little bored, but it's not too bad. Insult Investor says in 20 years it will be a cult classic. I could see that. Like I said, I enjoyed it, but I'm not gonna say it was like amazing. There were some really, really good jokes, and then some like, the rest of it was kind of like, all right. I did actually like. There's a part where Smart Beavis and Smart Butthead show up from an alternate reality, which I thought was kind of amusing. Yeah, they could have edited it high. Yeah. Oh, okay. He's saying that Insult Investor saying the voice was a little off. Yeah. I mean, it's a struggle, and I saw Mike Judge on Joe Rogan, and it's he's a little bit older now, so it's probably a little bit tougher. Like, I'm pretty sure Trey Parker from South Park has just given up on trying to do the voices. I think he did it a while ago, where he just does like his normal voice, like his, hey, I can't do a Cartman right now, but he's like, doing his Cartman voice, and they just pitch it to the proper Cartman. Like it's too hard for him to do, so they just pitch it for him so it's easier, because he does like, I don't know, 80% of the voices. But either way, we're going to do one more review for you anime fans out there. I know you're out there, and I hate to bore the regular people, so I won't spend too much time on this. But we're going to talk a little bit about Spriggan. And it has no no ratings at all. Just mine. I'm the only one. No one else has seen his. The one thing I'm curious about, there's only 6 episodes. So I saw a preview. I saw a trailer on YouTube or something like that. And I was like, oh, this looks pretty cool. It's kind of like Akira style quality anime mixed with like today's modern CGI-ish stuff. And it looked pretty exciting. There was a really exciting fight scene. It was really bloody and gory. Spriggan is an anime series on Netflix. It's about an ancient civilization's relics on Earth hold dangerous powers, and it's up to the Arkham Corporation agents to keep them out of the wrong hands. It stars like it's typical anime where there's like a 16-year-old boy who has like exceptional abilities, super abilities. It's kind of like he's kind of like 007 but with superpowers. It's a little bit of a spy thriller, and it's very gory, very very violent. And I thought it was, I was like, oh, this is kind of Akira style, but it's like so kind of like throwback 80s 90s anime that it gets like a little boring. It was okay. I wouldn't say it's one of my favorite animes, but it was definitely worth watching for 6 episodes. It was very episodic, and they find like interesting artifacts. So like imagine, if you will, where they find Noah's Ark, and Noah's Ark is a world terraformer. You know, it was left there by an ancient civilization to terraform the world. So you might not hear a lot about it. In fact, Rotten Tomatoes has it as like coming soon, which makes me really sad, because I'm like, I watched it, no one else did. Someone else out there had to watch this. Somebody had to. And so investor was going to write the same artifact, but the artifacts was going to write the same story, but the artifacts were on Saturn. It's a cool premise. I like the premise. I think it's a little weird that he's like a 16-year-old kid who's in high school. I don't get that. I'm pretty sure there were movies based on the anime or based on the manga back in like the 80s or 90s. That's why it seems like so throwbacky. It doesn't. I think it just doesn't hold up well against things like Attack on Titan or even Full Metal Alchemist. Like, it looks good, but it's not quite. They don't like explore as many themes. There's not. I'm literally watching the last season of Attack on Titan right now. I finished like all the English dubs of it, and I'm kind of going back through it. And the themes that are written in there are so complex and so dense, and the character turns, and there's so many characters. When you get a show that's like based on like one character and it's kind of episodic and there's no overarching plot really, it just doesn't seem to hold up as well against better products. Better ones, or even like something that's as classic as like, obviously Berserk's been going on for 30 years and there's not a great anime representation of it, but I give it a solid B+. So we checked out some things this week. I believe we're going to be reviewing Thor Blood and Thunder. No, Thor Thunder and Love. Love and Thunder. That's what it's called. I believe that's coming out. We might not get to it though. I don't know what date it's released. Maybe it's not this weekend. It's next weekend. So I think it's the 7th. I could be wrong. Maybe it's the 8th. If that comes out, we'll obviously wait a week for everybody to watch it, because we don't like to spoil that for everybody. We like to do our reviews a little bit after, give you a chance to digest it, see if you like it, and then you can have a nice conversation with us about it. That's some good anime. I always like good anime, and I know some people in our audience have told me that they don't like it when I review anime. So I try not to spend too much on it, but when there's stuff out there worth watching, I like to point it out. I was going to do a review on Ghost in the Shell SAC 2045, SAC 2045, but I haven't quite digested my feelings on it. So I might talk about that next week as well. We're definitely going to talk about Stranger Things. I think I can get to that. And I have no idea what Noob Noob's going to watch. Probably Top Gun for like the third or fourth time. He'll come back in and do his shirtless review of Top Gun one more time. I don't know how you guys feel, but I was definitely thinking about continuing this stream because there were some other things I wanted to talk about. If you guys want to stick around, I think I'm going to take a brief respite. And I'll take a short break and I will come back on and we can talk about some things because I think as fans, we've been attacked. And there's definitely some channels out there who have been feeling like they've been attacked from the well, I wouldn't say mainstream media, but the alt media is attacking, fans and their reactions, especially with the most recent things that came out with Kenobi and the criticisms that came out about it. There's been some articles written, some hit pieces about the fandom menace. We've mentioned that we are part of the fandom menace, or at least we associate. I don't know if we associate with them, but we definitely feel like we're into the fandom menace. So stick around if you like for that. I'm going to take about 10 or 15 minutes. You can listen to some fun music while we sit in the background. But thank you for listening to the show. I really appreciate everybody out there. You guys always love the chat. The guys in the chat, always the best. We've got team chat going on. If you get a chance, come join them. They have some fantastic conversations going on. You can also obviously subscribe. There'll be an audio version of this that releases usually every Sunday. If you subscribe, you can get it on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, all those fantastic places. We're going to have some great guests coming up soon. We're working on building in some guests that we'll have them streaming or at least have them on YouTube. You can check them out. We've had some great conversations with some good guests. We're going to have some just as amazing ones, including our friend Sensibly Cynical. I appreciate all of you out there. And if you want to hang around, please feel free. I know it's July 1st and there's a lot of stuff going on, but I still have a little bit more I want to talk about and I'd love for you to join. I really appreciate you guys out there. Thank you for the compliments. I really do appreciate it. But as for me, I'm definitely on to the next one. But I'll see you in a little bit. Chill out and we'll be back. All right, all right, all right. I'm back. Back in action. So, I had a little bit more I wanted to talk about, and I was hoping to have a nice conversation with everybody out there. Just kind of give my thoughts and and we would kick this idea around. And I think the idea really boils down to, what is a toxic fandom? What does that even mean? What does that mean for us as fans? You know, for most of us who are here, there's some sort of franchise, something out there that we're really, really into. I mean, even for myself, as you can see behind me, I have an AT-AT. I have Baby Yoda behind me, right? Somewhere right there. Hi, Baby Yoda. He's been a co-host on our show. You've also got a bunch of Godzilla figurines. And for those of you who are maybe just tuning in, because I've seen some people come back here, it's I'm the man you may know, Z from Our Reviews Will Kill You, and we're here to talk a little bit about what does it mean to be in a fandom and whether or not it can turn toxic, right? Because what we have here is an article from Salon, and the commentary is about, let's all stop ignoring the fandom menace. It's real and it's winning. Winning! It's got tiger blood, right? So what are we looking at here? There's something that I think is inherent in all of us as fans. Like there's something that we care about, something that we really enjoy, something that we love. You know, whether it be Star Wars, whether it be some form of anime, whether it be The Boys, or maybe it's, I think and The Boys is actually a good reference, because you have these cult things that people follow and people are really, really into. And then you have like newer projects that people are afraid to become fans of or afraid to become hardcore because they can't handle what could potentially happen to their franchise. And we'll talk about Game of Thrones, right? We talked a little bit about Game of Thrones previously in our in many of our streams, where you have a material that's based on these books, and the books are really great. People love the books by George R.R. Martin, and they get turned into a show. The show, if you recall, didn't actually start as a hit. It wasn't really that popular, but by word of mouth and by people looking at it and moving on, they became big fans of it and maybe went back to the books, and it just built in popularity to the point where it became the most popular show on television. But then it ran out of source material, got to seasons 6, 7, and 8, where they no longer had a blueprint for how to do this show, which then turned out into one of the most disappointing finales of all time, which then leads to HBO ordered an entire pilot that cost, I think, it probably cost more than that. Like, maybe, I'm not sure, but I heard it cost $30 million. I could be wrong. It could be more. Where $30 million for a pilot with Naomi Watts about George R.R. Martin's world of Game of Thrones that they threw out, never to see the light of day. Maybe one day we'll be lucky enough to see it and see why it was thrown out, why it was so bad. We have no idea. But it's fascinating to see these type of things, right? Where nowadays people are afraid to become like hardcore fans, and shows are even afraid to go beyond their scope because they're afraid the hardcore fans will turn on them. A really good example of this is right now, and if you want, I can kind of Google search this. Reva's lightsaber, right? Hasbro Plus. This is direct from the site itself. United States. Let's go. And this was something that I thought was kind of fascinating, right? So there's this Hasbro, which makes a lot of toys and owns a lot of products, right? They own the Star Wars properties. They own G.I. Joe, Transformers, things like that. And there are hardcore collectors and hardcore fans who will buy special toys and things like that, right? And recently, let's see if we can find it. So what they do is they put up these things where they're like, we will make this if we can get enough backers, right? So here is Reva from Kenobi show, the Black Series Reva, the third sister Force FX Elite lightsaber. The target was to get to 5,000 backers. Currently, there are only 1,307 backers, right? The funding ends in 10 days, 3 hours, and 6 minutes. It costs $500. So this is for hardcore fans, hardcore collectors. This is beyond your normal, your normie fan. And what I would say is that the hardcore fans are what keeps a cult show alive. It keeps things moving. It keeps people excited about it. The hardcore people are the one who are going to they're going to proselytize. They're going to go out there and they're going to tell everybody how great this franchise is. So we look at this and it's barely a quarter of the way backed. And when you think about it, what does that mean? There's 10 days left and it doesn't seem like it's going to make it. In the meantime, we're going to look at this. The G.I. Joe classified Hiss truck, right? And I would say I'm a G.I. Joe fan. I'm not a hardcore fan, and obviously I have toys in the background, but I'm not like a hardcore collector. I'm not going to pretend that I am. I have things from my childhood that I like. If I see a cool Godzilla toy, I might pick it up. But I'm not a collector. That's for sure. And I'm not, I'm not an expert on any of these things. But what I can see are things with my own eyes. And what I see here is the Cobra Hiss tank, which looks pretty cool, right? I guess it's like an original series, whatever it is. It just posted 2 days ago. It's $300 for this thing. And this is similar to the other stuff that we've talked about in the past. There's a Galactus toy that was really, really cool. There is there's only been a handful of things that have failed. There was a Unicron toy, a Transformer that was put up. There was Jabba the Hutt's barge that was put up. So these are for specialized super fans that want to collect something really, really unique and really cool. They're only going to make a limited amount of them. They become collector's editions. This went up 2 days ago. There are 45 days left. 3 hours, 4 minutes. They needed a target of 8,000, which was higher than the Revo lightsaber. There are almost 12,000 backers, 11,869. When we look at this thing, as far as the toy goes, I guess it's cool. Looks cool to me. I think it's cool. I would never spend $500 on it, but holy macaroni. And the cool thing, I guess, is when they break certain levels, they'll give you additional features. So these are like highly, highly detailed toys, right? So let's go back one. The Reva toy, this lightsaber, which I think is kind of a, look, I'm not a lightsaber master, but it seems like kind of a dumb idea. This like spinning wheelie lightsaber thing, which can be, cut in half or whatever. And it's a little bit more money. It's what, $200 more, give or take. What you're looking at is something that's it's not going to get funded. And it's going to be just like the Rancor that did get funded. So your hardcore Star Wars fans are losing faith in the franchise. Why are they losing faith in the franchise? They're losing faith in the franchise because of the products that are being put out. G.I. Joe had some bad movies, but not enough to ruin the series. People probably like those live action things. Most people probably ignored them. They still have the original series to go back to in the toys. So now we're going to take one more step backwards, and we're going to go and talk about this article. So let's all stop ignoring the fandom menace. It's real and it's winning. In this article, they're talking about it, and this was an episode from Stephen Colbert, which is ironic. They would talk about Stephen Colbert because I am, I wouldn't say I'm a fan of his. He's definitely got his own perceived angle, and I'm not here to talk politics. What I'm here to talk about is how fandoms have been politicized, which is extremely strange to me because there's not really a side to fans. Right? They just watch what they want to watch. They do what they want to do. They put their money where they want to put their money. And they're saying that Stephen Colbert trolled Miss Marvel. And this is a quote from the Stephen Colbert Show. Ladies and gentlemen, America has lost another battle in the culture war, which is surprising because we've got all the guns. This time the battlefield is comic books. And folks, that saddens me because I'm a fan. This is an affront that has taken me aback. A Muslim cannot be a superhero, for Pete's sake. They're on the no-fly list. It's even more upsetting when you consider the original Miss Marvel. She was wholesome, an all-American, blonde, family values with 2 bulging chest muscles, clearly wearing her Sunday church panties. He goes on, and he was supposedly spoofing a Bill O'Reilly and other Fox pundits and blah 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 blah, right? But what this article continues is that they're saying that these toxic fans are going after people, and they're saying that they harassed Moses Ingram from the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. Now, someone who watched every minute of the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, the character of Reva, Moses Ingram's character, was not given a plot line until the 5th episode. She was really not given anything to work on. And they're saying like bigots piled onto her because she was terrible, blah, 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 blah. It's really weird. So what they're talking about, that these people rallied around a hate for Rian Johnson's Lucasfilm sequel. And if you recall, during The Last Jedi, when things came out, people who hated The Last Jedi were called man babies. They were assaulted. They were ridiculed. They were insulted by the creators of the product. That would be as if George Lucas came out and said, everyone who likes Indiana Jones, who doesn't like the fact that he uses a whip because it's a reference to slave times, is a bigot. Like, what are you're conflating these things and making them 2 different things. You're like I said, you're politicizing something that does not need to be politicized. They're also going to tie Gamergate and Comicsgate into it. And with this, they're really trying to point out people who are specifically that they are considered like full of hate and bigots and racists and all this stuff. And I'm just like, I'm kind of stunned at what they're doing. Let's see if what they say is that these people are specifically targeting some of these actors. I'm pretty sure that the hate for Obi-Wan Kenobi show, people hated like everything that they didn't like about it. Myself included, where I was even criticizing. There's a fight scene between Reva and Darth Vader, and some of the moves that Darth Vader does are stupid. Like Darth Vader doing like these weird hand motions so he can stop her from using her lightsaber seemed pretty stupid. And the fact that he walks, like, they made Darth Vader stupid. How is that a criticism of Reva? We're literally criticizing everything about the show. We're tearing it down because it's not presented in a logical way. You have Darth Vader walk up to a spaceship. He doesn't see the second spaceship, tears the spaceship apart with the Force, and then lets the second spaceship just fly away because no one's paying attention. That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't logically make sense. He also he attempts to kill multiple people in the show, and instead of making sure that they're dead, he walks away from them. He buries Obi-Wan Kenobi in rocks and goes, "Oh, you must be dead," and walks away. Even though he can feel in the Force whether or not they're alive. Obi-Wan Kenobi in the original series could feel when everyone on Alderaan died. Why can't you feel when a Force user right next to you is dead when you bury them in rocks? Same thing with Reva. He murders Reva twice. He kills her twice. He impales her with a lightsaber twice, and she should have died and did not die. Why? Because the writers aren't that good. So that's where criticism comes from. But somehow they're going to make it about some sort of craziness. And maybe they pull some of this stuff out from like nonsensical trolls. Okay, who cares? There's always going to be knuckleheads who say dumb things. People are always going to say dumb things. But it seems like they're specifically targeting certain shows or certain fans, right? They're specifically pointing out that these fans are, the review bombing and they're ruining things. They definitely didn't review bomb Captain Marvel. I did a video on Captain Marvel. It's like at 94% on Rotten Tomatoes. Like, what are you talking about? Where's the review bombing happening? What's really happening is people just don't care. half the audience of the lowest rated show on Disney Plus for Marvel, which was Hawkeye, showed up to watch Miss Marvel. No one cares. You're trying. It's almost like the Batwoman thing. So now they're saying, this is the direct quote from the article, they serve as a distraction from the more dangerous problem posed by a handful of YouTube influencers, such as Geeks and Gamers or The Quartering, whose bread and butter is anti-Star Wars and anti-Marvel videos. Look, if I like something, I'm going to tell you I like it. And while I don't know Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers, or I guess it's Jeremy from The Quartering, I don't know those people. I have watched their videos. I think they have some good points to make. I don't always agree with them. Sometimes I do. But I don't think that they're specifically targeting anyone, and I don't think that they're hateful people, and I don't think that they're bringing anything negative to the table. I think they're doing criticism. Just like I myself took flack. I like Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Yes, there are plot holes with it. Yes, there are things I don't like, but my like for the actors and Sam Raimi overrode how much I disliked it, and I gave it a good review despite other people saying it wasn't that good. We give our honest opinions. I don't necessarily think that they're toxic. And they're saying that they're pushing review bombing, which doesn't make any sense. An exhaustive, extensively researched 2020-21 Medium post authored by Rewriting Ripley draws the connection between Star Wars toxic fandom and these YouTube personalities and the right-wing ecosphere that came before them and continues to nourish them. How these figures profit off of racism and misogyny in ways that aren't obvious prima facie, but are not well hidden. It is Jeremy and Jeremy. So it's Geeks and Gamers and The Quartering and Ryan Cannell, and they're saying these guys are alt-right, which I think is crazy. I don't necessarily think that they're alt-right. I mean, who cares what their political beliefs are? What we're talking about is criticism of Star Wars. And no matter what anyone tells me, you can't tell me that Kenobi was a well-written show. You can't. I argued it in a different video. It just doesn't make any sense. It's not a thing. Now, maybe these guys are blowing things up and maybe instead of using, so they're basically saying that these guys, instead of using racial slurs, because they would just start shouting out racial slurs, they use terms like woke and railing against SJWs. I think it's fairly clear from a financial perspective that when The Force Awakens does like $1 billion, and then you have the sequel to it do a little bit worse, right? Rian Johnson's his film didn't do that great. And then you have the last one, directed by J.J. Abrams, Rise of Skywalker, do even worse. People are going to say this doesn't make sense. Clearly from a financial perspective, regular fans are tuning out. That doesn't make them bigots because they don't like it, right? They're saying like, oh, people are going after Kathleen Kennedy. Kathleen Kennedy literally fired like 5 or 6 directors. She should be held accountable for that. When you fire Lord and Miller, who literally went on to win an Oscar because you didn't like what they were doing with the Solo movie, and then you hire Ron Howard and he finishes the movie and then it bombs from a Star Wars perspective, you have no one to blame but Kathleen Kennedy. Those are financial decisions that she's making. I don't see where there's like racism or violence, or what are they talking about? It just doesn't make any. They're saying that I just don't get it. Oh, really doesn't make any sense. And then their own argument doesn't make any sense. They're saying, like, why didn't we hear any backlash over Ming-Na Wen's casting in The Mandalorian or the Boba Fett with Rosario Dawson taking on the role of Ahsoka Tano? Because we like those actors and they do a good job. There's nothing wrong with them. There's nothing going on. Oh, I'm sorry. Insult Investor's back. Thanks for joining the conversation, my man. Let me see. Anything but the I can't see the comments as well as I'd like to. Yeah, you don't call. The only thing I will say is the Darth thing, and I had to issue an apology about this. Now, when Obi-Wan Kenobi does say Darth, so for context, I got really upset, and there was an article that I reviewed that there was somebody who really, really liked the Kenobi show, and when Obi-Wan Kenobi says, "I'm sorry, Darth," or whatever he says, he genuinely calls Darth Vader Darth as if it were his first name. Now, I rechecked out the original Star Wars, and Obi-Wan Kenobi does call Vader Darth, but I think he does it in a mocking way, and Darth is technically a title because there's Darth Sidious, there's Darth Vader, there's Darth Maul. So you've got Darth as a title, not necessarily as someone's first name. It makes people insane, right? When they see things like that. And what my point was that you had a fan who you eventually broke their suspension of disbelief because you said something that was so stupid in the writing. So when you have bad writers and writers without experience, yeah, people are going to be angry about it. Right? What else are they going to talk about? They're trying to. There's a bunch of things. You know, people are like, I don't know where like all the racism and anger comes from. Like, I just don't know why everything has to be racist. If somebody wrote a character poorly, that's not racist. You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't make any sense. And they're trying to say that these YouTubers are monetizing this anger and this hatred, but it's not. Yeah, I'm sure these guys are making so much more money than, you know, Kathleen Kennedy is making. You know, the woman's making millions and millions of dollars and putting out garbage that's diluting and destroying this thing that people love. It's just amazing that somebody could come after this. They're mad that, you know, Kelly Marie Tran came out as Rose, you know, the Rose Tico character, because people didn't like that character. Guess what? The character didn't make a lot of sense, and people didn't like the character. The action figures don't sell. Why? Yeah, because of racism. No, because people just didn't like it. I'm just struggling to understand why they would attack these people. And why this article from Salon is allowed to even, you know, look, you're allowed to have your opinions, but I just don't understand when this became like, oh, they're just going to call everybody racist and misogynist, and it's just strange. Whoever this Melanie McFarland is, I just don't understand where it's coming from. And you have to think, like, I mean, even the Inquisitors don't even make sense from a Star Wars perspective. From my understanding of Star Wars, the Emperor was extremely xenophobic and didn't like aliens. Why he would allow Darth Vader to have a bunch of aliens go and hunt down the Jedi doesn't make any sense to me. The Grand Inquisitor was an alien. His second in command was an alien. Reva was the only human or human-looking person. I just, you know, maybe if you made her an alien, people would have liked her more. I don't know. I just, you know, people are trying to look for consistencies in something that they grew up with and spent a lot of time on, and just have this article where they're just like, guess what? Everybody's racist. All these people who don't like something are racist. Just because you don't like it, I don't think it makes you a racist. That seems kind of strange. You know, and they're trying to complain about Miss Marvel. Miss Marvel's got nothing but, like, positive reviews. You know, the show is okay. You know, I reviewed it myself. It's not, like, the worst show, but it's not exactly what I would call captivating television. It's, like, a tiny bit of a step up from the CW. Special effects aren't great. The story is pretty basic. There's no antagonist in the first 2 episodes. So what are we supposed to do with that? Doesn't make any sense. You know, Reva's set up as the antagonist in the first episode of Kenobi. How come Miss Marvel doesn't have one? Strange, right? So I just feel like this is just weird to have these people come out. And look, I'm not trying to claim anything one way or the other than fans shouldn't be attacked for something like this. You know, are they going to attack fans for not buying her lightsaber? Is that what you're going to do? Is the lightsaber, is somehow the Cobra hiss tank less racist than this Star Wars Black Series Force lightsaber? Well, I mean, I don't know. What are we talking about here? It's very strange. I don't understand why this, like, you know, what is going on here? We don't need to attack people. We don't need to be angry on either side. I think people are allowed to criticize things, especially when you have, you know, professional writers like the Critical Drinker go on and he's criticizing Kenobi because the writing is not good, and he's criticizing every angle. He's criticizing Ewan McGregor. He's criticizing everything about it because it's not written correctly. It's written very poorly by someone who's either an amateur writer or, you know, the major writing credit that the showrunner had was Army of the Dead, which I wouldn't exactly, the Zack Snyder Army of the Dead from Netflix, which I wouldn't exactly say is one of the greatest written films of all time. You know, even for a zombie movie, it was kind of like goofy and not that smart. So are these people who aren't paying for her lightsaber racist? I'm confused. You know what else didn't sell? And I'm going to see if I can find it here on the HasLab. We'll go to the Star Wars ones. We'll go to View All Star Wars. You know what didn't fund? Let's see if I can find it. Did they not have it? Maybe there's a search. We'll look for the Rancor. Rancor. Here we go. This also did not fund. You know why? The target was 9,000 and it did not fund because people didn't like the quality of it. They thought it was, you know, if you're going to spend, I don't know how much it was going for, but I'm sure it's a couple $100. It's ugly. It's not as good looking as the original toy. I had the original toy and it was way cooler than this. The colors are wrong. The details are not very good. This was not a quality. This does not look like a Rancor to me. This looks pretty crappy. For a couple $100, I'm not willing to spend it on this. I understand where they're coming from. I get why people don't want it. It was going to come with, I guess, with like a Luke character, but even the Luke doesn't look that good. People will pay for quality. They will not pay for garbage. You cannot make people pay for something that is not good enough. I was looking through the pictures here, and I don't know if everybody saw it, but yeah, it's not good enough. And this did not get funded. Just like the Reva lightsaber won't get funded. Star Wars seems like you're killing this franchise and this product. You know, people used to pay a lot to collect all this stuff, and it's just not, if it's not quality, it won't be there. So I get where people are coming from. People can criticize. This part of film criticism has been around for a million years. Well, not a million years, like however long film's been around. But criticism of all sorts of, whether it's public speech or anything. So I felt like that was a thing I wanted to talk about. And, you know, not that we're associated with those channels. You know, we're not big enough to talk to them or anything like that. But look, I just don't see it. I don't see the connection. This seems like false outrage to me. And that's the devious part, is the false outrage. If it's not real, you're just making it because you want to prove your point. Make better quality, and I think it will be better. So if you have comments, please let me know down below. I know this was a little bit of a preachy moment for me, and I just wanted to kind of address it because all the other channels, they've all addressed this as a hit piece. And, you know, I think they throw around some things that are just unwarranted and unjustified and make things strange for people. And I know we usually do a lot of comedy here, and I don't care about the politics. I think it's all kind of irrelevant. But when you start calling people things that they necessarily aren't, maybe they're, if one thing, they might be outrage merchants. That's one thing. There's people getting outraged over things that I don't necessarily think there's an outrage for. It's more like apathy. And I think the Critical Drinker does sum that up. It's where he just doesn't care to review things because the quality has gotten so poor. But when you care about something, you want to express yourself about it, and you care about a product because it was important to you. It meant something to you. As from Heels versus Babyface described in his description, he talks about the reason why he collects the toys and why all these things happen and why he cares so much is because when he was a child, it was important to him. It was an escape for him. It was a way for him to cope with what was going on in his life. And I can see how people can attach themselves to that. And when they care about a product, or not like a product, but like an intellectual property that's important to them because it helped forge their personalities or it was something important to them, it makes sense. And I don't want to begrudge anybody that. It's like, why, would you want us to go after your favorite intellectual property? I was a huge X-Files fan, right, for example, and then the quality of the show went in the toilet and I could no longer accept watching the show. And I realized that the writer and creator of the show had no overarching plan for it. And that kind of crushed me. And I was reluctant to catch on to shows from then on. Same thing with Lost, if you think about it. People were really excited about Lost. And then they realized that J.J. Abrams and his crew had no real plan for the show. And the quality went down. And do people really talk about Lost anymore? These franchises that people were... we're talking about some of the number one shows on television. And then they fall apart. So just wanted to make a point here. Whether you agree or disagree with me, let me know down in the chat. I really do appreciate it. Be sure to check out our full-length audio podcast. They're usually funnier than this, and we usually make a lot more jokes, but you can catch us, Stitcher, Spotify, iTunes, all those other great places. Catch our live streams here Friday night. 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is when we start. So get prepared because we're going to get it on every Friday night. But as for me, I'm wrapping it up because I am on to the next one.